Get started. Today is June 7th, 2023. It's 9:01. Let's call the meeting to order. Dear Father in heaven, thank you for each and every one that's here today. As I always ask, place your guidance over us, give us the wisdom to lead. And we always want to come to you with an open heart, and thank you for the blessings that you've given Baker County. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see, it looks like agenda changes and adoptions are Fair Order 2023 designating Big Ass Fans as sole source provider. I'm saving Erin here. She's like, I'm not saying that. I'm not doing it. And then we're going to add Fair Executive Director Service Agreement discussion. We were hoping to get that on as an action item, but it didn't quite make it in time. So we're going to discuss the changes and we'll go from there. Do we have anybody for citizen participation on anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, go ahead and step forward, state your name and tell us what you've got.
Okay, the name is Arthur Sappington and of 3055 10th Street here in Baker City, Oregon. And this is our annual statement for the 501c3 for the Snake River Music Gardens. Update of what we're at. We've been so busy that we weren't able to schedule for a longer meeting. So this is going to be very short. Lynn Yen has some brochures to pass out for folks that want to know a little bit more about what we're doing and how retirement, the only difference between retirement and working, as Bruce can attest to, is you don't get paid as much.
Right.
One of the things that we do want to mention is that this weekend starts in the music in the park in the afternoon. We want to get out the message to all the veterans in Baker County, the fact that the band that's coming in is doing a special presentation for the veterans for the music,
very good.
music wise. So they're going to play the music from all of the military organizations, except for the new one that they haven't figured out the music yet for the Space Odyssey. Other than that,
So we do have a new brand, and they don't have a theme.
we are working. I'm working with bees, so we are doing for swarm capture or bees, honeybees that are into a structure. We are handling that and trying to educate on that.
Oh, good.
We have on 5th and D is the urban garden, and we've just got for the Baker County as the USDA recognition that Baker County has the only urban garden, community garden in all of Eastern Oregon. So we've got it from Willamette Valley. All the rest of them are all in the Willamette Valley. So it's on 5th and D. So the signs are there for both 4-H and urban garden. So anybody that has any questions about gardening and stuff, just go onto our website and they'll be able to get in touch with us on that.
All right, very good.
That's it.
Thank you. All right. We've review approval of the minutes for May 17th, 2023.
I didn't find anything.
You
I didn't find anything either.
Okay, well, Got a motion to approve?
Maybe as soon as I find the minutes again.
This is kind of a thicker packet this time.
I got it. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written for the commission session, May 17th, 2023.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, on to scheduled business. Is there emergency management?
Okay, we tried to shorten up our department update to, just a few pages here, but there's a lot of blank ones in
You-
here, just to make it look good.
Oh, good, good. No, I know you guys have been busy.
All right,
No PowerPoint.
and
Yeah.
no PowerPoint.
You think-
How do you know they've been busy when we can't even find them when I go looking for them?
Well, I'm
Nobody's
I'm
around.
giving them the benefit of the doubt. I
Okay.
wasn't gonna say anything, but I'm just gonna assume they're out emergency managing something.
So we have a pretty good audience. You can't pass up a good drill to happen. And I really wanted to just shout earthquake and see what everybody did, but I know everybody would drop cover and hold in here. So, but
I was gonna grab Colonel Baker and take a run for it.
if you go outside, be sure to dodge all the bricks that would be coming down after you. So I would encourage you to drop
So
cover and hold in
that's-
place
That's the
versus running
wrong.
outside. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody says that. We're running out of the courthouse. I'm like, all those, the ones that they show, you just see the whole facade come down off that, and it's like, that's not good. Usually everybody that stayed inside, survivable. Those that were outside trying to catch bricks didn't fare so well. So.
These are really light stones.
Oh, yeah.
Something. I still don't think I'd want to catch them with my head.
No,
so.
me neither.
I think that would be a bad tactical.
Yeah.
cloud.
But so for the update today, I brought all of us here to give a little bit of each of the pieces that we kind of cover here. So we'll start with Gary with the fire stuff since we're getting into fire season.
Okay. I guess for the audience, a lot of you know, but in 2003, the county created a fire program that links the county to federal, state, and local fire agencies. So that's the U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, Oregon Department of Forestry that protects private lands, and 13 rural or municipal fire departments across the county. There's also 3 RFPAs, 2 of which you're pretty instrumental in developing, and I guess go from there. So it's good. The program kind of focuses on fire prevention. I'll try not to use these that make me look old. But fire prevention and outreach is kind of one of the program elements. Fire training, or training, ICS training, just training in general, whatever departments need, is another element. Fire planning, and that includes a variety of different things, so I'll touch on some of those. Fire grants, because this year it's kind of been this onslaught of grants, so I'll try to bring you up to speed the best I can in 5 or less minutes. And then some fire responses. So obviously prevention and education start in the spring, and May is kind of wildfire awareness week. And so the agencies, primarily the U.S. Forest Service, but the agencies run the schools working with younger kids, talking about campfires and fire safety. We did, you'll probably touch on the halfway fair a little bit, but we did some preparedness stuff and halfway, so that was some training. As far as fire prevention, I think our biggest accomplishment in Baker County is the 3 Firewise communities we've established and the 3 that we're in the process of developing. And that's pretty important because that's the local folks, their local areas. And so for the audience, it's primarily Spring Creek at the base of the Elkhorns, Eagleton, East Eagles, and then Pine Valley. And now we're looking at Anthony Lakes Homeowners Association, Woodtick Village. I'll be meeting with both of those this month. and then Bourne, which is kind of slowly. coming.
Okay.
Anyway, that's prevention outreach. You're going to see that prevention and outreach and education blend into planning with the Firewise stuff, because that's really what it is. We're trying to prevent fires, working with local communities and so on. So some of the training, we put together, our office put together some ICS training at Halfway. So that was for staff, department heads, fire, EMS, the school district, community leaders. My records show we had about 14 people there. That was kind of an entry level incident command structure. That's what ICS stands for, Incident Command System, how to manage an incident. So they were very appreciative of that. I think some of these folks will also talk about LEPC, but we did a conference in Redmond in April on local emergency preparedness committees. As far as training also is the last 3 weeks, I hate to say this, but I've been in and out of prison. But Oregon Department of Forestry and Department of Correction for the last 20 years has had a program with the adults incarceration where we create fire crews, and they also not only can provide fire suppression assistance, they can do camp support.
Sure.
So that's, I wrote down 125 trained. I think it's going to be more than that this week. And so I've kind of lost track of the numbers. It's a big program for that. And then we've also done in the spring here, up till now, we've done all the annual refreshers for rurals and whatnot. And ODF's been working and RFPAs. So we're preparing for fire season. As far as planning, that goes back to Firewise communities. Like I said, I'll be meeting with Anthony Lakes Homeowners Association and Woodtick Village this month. The idea is just to get them established as a community and get working about, defensible space around homes and things like that. That's been a training, and then Firewise has been a push from at least 2 of you. We're going to be tomorrow. We'll be working with direct hire agreements. We've done the BLM agreements, and ODF agreements will be tomorrow. But those are federal and state agencies that hire rules for fire suppression. Those agreements just need to be signed and worked out, and that thing. As far as grants, I'll just be brief because there's a ton and they're all over the place. There's the OSFM Community Wildfire Risk Reduction Grant. So I worked with Pine Valley, Sumter, and Unity, which all got funded. I'm not taking credit for the work. I'm just saying we gave them some stats and some numbers for the packaging. The other one is North Powder that put in. And I'm not going to speak for the road department, but yep, you can cover yours. USDA, we put in for a Forest Service Community Wildfire Defense Grant. And that's going to be able to update our CWPP plan. Our office also put in for a grant, OSFM HMEP. It's a hazardous materials preparedness grant. We'll know in September, October if we got that. I'm pretty sure we did, but that's going to allow us to purchase some training equipment and work with some rurals on some hazmat training. And then finally, there was a small grant called the Community Wildfire Protection Plan Investment Grant. I didn't know what it was. I found it online, but Baker County got $4,500. That went to Halfway.
Okay.
For primarily the Firewise community to get some signage equipment and things like that.
Oh, good.
So if I could summarize the grants, I'll just be brief. It's well over $1 million that's coming to Baker County since January. Out of everybody's efforts. I'll quit and just say here, the last thing that I do in my position is fire response. So if things get bad, incident management teams come in. I generally tie in with them and work with our office. But my fire response update is we've had 3 on Monday. They were all really small. I didn't notify you guys because they were really tiny, but I think, good for the rain.
Let's keep it that way.
I know I was notified by dispatch just via text.
Alert
Did that
text.
go okay?
Yeah, one was a spot, like the size of the table.
Yeah.
One was a half acre.
Yeah.
And I think one might have been half acre.
Sound like there was a lot of agencies that were responding.
Rules, Oregon Department of Forestry, BLM, I don't know if they even investigated because it's like an particular cause.
Yeah.
But yep, RPAs. So at the end, not to, sorry, I'm going a little long here, but we're basically from here on out, we'll be preparing for the fire season. And if you have any questions.
I don't have any questions. I attended one of the prison advisory meetings a couple months ago, and they spoke about your work in the prison and what a really impactful program that's been. Also for getting, workers on the ground to help with the fires, but it's turned a lot of these guys around and given them a serious opportunity for employment when they get out. So they are super happy with what you've been doing. So am I.
25-year program.
Yeah.
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 Thanks.
So something else that is under emergency management, not on here, but a couple of years ago, we took on the Eastern Oregon Regional Medical Reserve Corps. So if you see the MRC, it's medical region. And so we're able to, with the funds that come from the hospitals in the Region 9, actually, they pool their funds to help support the Medical Reserve Corps. And we're able to hire Joe to be a coordinator for that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in emergency management. We end up working together on a lot of stuff. Joe, right, little MRC update.
So I guess just for those of you who don't know, the Eastern Oregon Medical Reserve Corps is here to enhance preparedness, responder capabilities, and surge capacity and readiness during times of crisis and non-crisis. Volunteers will supplement the existing healthcare workers and emergency responders to improve overall preparedness and find ways to promote healthy behaviors, prevent disease, and provisions of emergency preparedness education in the community. The Eastern Oregon Medical Reserve Corps, currently we service 11 counties: Gillum, Morrow, Umatilla, Union, Wallowa, Wheeler, Grant, Baker, Lake, Harney, and Malheur. And in the 2021 census, that's showing that we service over 200,000 people in the area, covering 28,514 square miles. And I coordinate for over 170 volunteers currently right now. So what we've been doing, as Gary said, we went down and supported the Halfway Preparedness Fair back in, I think it was March or February, when we went down there and assisted with signing people up for alert sense, our locals. And then we also talked about 72-hour kits or bug out bags. Let's see, and we had all three of us attended the LEPSI conferences, Gary said, down in Burns, or not Burns, but in Redmond. More recently, we did, so through the FEP on the health department side, and then the MRC, I also did the Baker City Preparedness Fair, which we had a pretty decent turnout for coming back from COVID and everything, I feel. A lot of really good turnout for vendors. It was great, great networking, I'd say. And then, so I've got the Nacho grant, which also helps fund the MRC. So we've got the Nacho Rise and the Nacho ORA, both of those grants I'm drawing down on right now. With the Nacho grants, we purchased supplies for the trailers. We also helped purchase one of the 2 trailers that we have through the Nacho Rise grant and ORA somewhat. We're ordering more supplies that are starting to expire, that are expired. And we're purchasing more shelves to put in the trailer to finish building out the trailer. The HCC grant, which Jason was talking about, helps fund this position. We purchased a Starlink satellite, so we're able to plug into the hospitals if for some reason communications ever go down. That'll be kind of part of what goes out with the MRC. We also are helping Region 6 and 9 of the hospitals with a chemical annex. We hired a contractor for that, and actually we just got the final draft yesterday. And then in 2024, we'll be doing the radiation annex, which will come out of that grant as well. And that should be finished out in 2024. I also just applied for the MRC Strong grant, which was a grant that came out at the federal level. They're giving out, I think it was 54 awards, somewhere in that area. And I think the cap on the award was just shy of $1 million. We applied with the state, our Eastern Oregon MRC applied with the state coordinators. We should find out next week if we were awarded that grant, and if we do, it'll help fund the MRC position for 2 years. We'll be able to purchase 3 more trailers and station them throughout the Eastern Oregon region.
Very good.
And along with that, what I'm doing is I've developed a county captain program to kind of help with having to travel throughout the 11 counties. Having one person in each place that I can get a hold of, that they can kind of help with the training, managing the volunteers there at that level. So that's something that's not really done anywhere else in the state. So it's kind of a program that I'm working on piloting here in Oregon. And then so far this year, we've gone to the Preparedness Summit, which was in Georgia. I got to meet a bunch of people from other MRCs around the country, other FET coordinators, learned a lot of great recruitment tools and retention tools. Just really, really lots of knowledge and experience there. So it was really nice to be able to go to that. I'm working on currently getting the ham certification, my technical course, or technician course I just finished up, and I'll be taking the general course and both the tests so that we can kind of reestablish our ham operators here in Baker.
Can you do that online?
Yes.
Is there a code requirement for that anymore?
Yeah.
You've got. Might have a chance.
Morris code?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Well, you can still do it, but it's just on certain bands now.
Gotcha.
We've also conducted an Ebola outbreak tabletop here with the local health department, and we had St. Alphonsus, St. Luke's, and a sheriff's office, and I believe 5J was there. What am I missing, I think? So, I mean, what was it? Anyways, so yeah, that's we conducted a tabletop exercise just for
Very good.
practice here locally with community partners, and just been doing outreach and working on networking with our partners to get everybody kind of on the same page, training
Okay.
that everybody needs, and what MRC's been working on.
Good.
Appreciate it.
We call it nacho, but it's the National Association of County and Cities Health Officials. It goes by NACO, but we internally call it nachos.
Well, if you want people
Yeah.
to show up, you have to call it
I mean,
nacho.
It's like, ooh, nachos. but
Right.
Yeah.
That makes
they got
sense to me.
some Monday stuff, so. Anyways, I'll make mine short since we're over time. With my program, emergency management stuff, a lot of my funding comes from what's called the Emergency Management Performance Grant, or EMPG grant, which has certain requirements of training, exercises, and then usually some type of an operational plan update. So 3 exercises are required, 20 hours of training, and some, this year was looking at our continuity of operations plan or COOP plan. That's what I had submitted. There's been some changes on some of that when I worked with the state on that. But as far as exercises this year, like I said, the 3 required, we've got at least 8 that I have down that were pretty much 31.5 hours spent during all those exercises. Some of it was more development side that I did not include. This was the first year that we brought the National Exercise Program out, and we did a regional with Baker Union, Umatilla, and Harney County, doing a 2-day live exercise or functional exercise, and then we did a 2-day tabletop exercise in Umatilla County, where we kind of all came together, focused on the Cascadia subduction zone if that were to happen. And as far as public outreach, stuff they've included with some presentations to the Lions Club. We also brought the Weather Service out and went to Haynes. They wanted a group, and that actually turned out to be a really good presentation out there. As far as the training, we'll go over all of those. It does not include any of my online, just those online classes you can take from FEMA, but we've got 185 hours in there. Plan reviews, Baker School District is developing EOP, so we've been helping review their plan, and then also looked at the Pilcher Creek and Wolf Creek EAP. Obviously, those are in Union County, but should something come, then the stream, as it gets further down in the county, would start to affect us again. So that's where it was good to collaborate with Union County on that. Had a couple state homeland security grants that we wrapped up this year, and we're working on next year's. Ambient service area has been taking quite a bit of my time, I'd say, working on some of those small details. Hopefully we're heading in the right direction, and we'll get the advisory group here together to go over the goals and objectives of that committee and discuss where we are currently to see if there's any suggestions to improve EMS services for the entire county. I know right now it seems a lot of focus is on currently the Baker and the Huntington ASAs, but this group is also going to be looking at the Richland and Hackle-Roxbury. So it comes in to help us all work better together. Quick Mason Dam update from the budget hearings. We, to at least go reach out and see if we can get an extension on our start of construction. I did get that letter submitted, so I received notice that it's been submitted, but they're still reviewing it.
Okay.
Things to come up. Got Joe working on a senior official workshop for all hazard preparedness. If that was on our training and exercise plan, and it finally came through, and that's through what's called TEACS. It's Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service, and they will actually come out here on August 24th and do that. So we'll see how. I don't know how it can work to get you all in the same room for that, but I'm hoping the mayors and those can attend.
Okay.
Grant County, they're kind of, since it was we meet kind of regionally, we all put this on our training and exercise plan. And so Grant County, Union County, Baker County got this training to come. So Union County's is in July, and we might see what they're doing and help them. So that's coming up, and our mass notification system, we currently have, it's called AlertSense, great, user-friendly, but the state went with what's called War Alerts. So if you hear that, they bought every county and Everbridge, access to Everbridge, which is another mass notification system.
Okay.
And so we'll be transitioning to use that as our primary and AlertSense as their secondary. So you'll start seeing that we're able to grab all the stuff out of AlertSense and dump it into Everbridge, which we weren't able to do when we moved from Code Red over. So that will be a good thing to do. With that, it comes IPAWS, which is the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System. I'm not a huge fan of it because of our areas and our cell towers. You can say, here's the area, but there's a lot of bleed over. So people that, if it was a quick, we got to get people out and we had evacuation to this polygon. The polygon can only have so many places in the system, or else it doesn't work right, it doesn't upload right. And then you can have so many characters in your message. So sometimes you can't be super specific in those things. But then, like I said, it can bleed over and we're notifying people that aren't intended to get that. So that's kind of the trick with doing some of that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, got some long-term stuff, like Joe was pitching on the ham radio. The local emergency planning committee, LEPC, has been hazmat focused, but I'm hoping to make it an all hazard thing and get started here. Any questions, please get a hold of our public information officer and we'll go.
Thank you.
I will take questions.
No, you're good.
Okay, sorry.
All right.
Oh, no, it'll be fine.
Gary, I guess we
I think
keep
we have
you,
Gary
right?
Guess I'll
anyway.
just stay.
Yeah, yeah. We're
Maybe I'll
gonna,
catch
we're
up
gonna,
some time here.
we're gonna pick on you a little bit.
All right.
All right, so now I'm gonna open a public meeting for, where's my- what do I have here? This is gonna be a public hearing for SRS Title III funding. So we will open public hearing. And if you want to go ahead and give us the background.
Okay. SRS Title III is really an acronym for Secure Rural Schools and Community Self-Determination Act of 2000. So SRS, Secure Rural Schools. But what it is, it's funding coming from USDA Forest Service. And it comes to the county. It comes to the county in three different ways, 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know if Noodle's still here, but anyway, some comes to primarily the road department and some of the funding comes back to the U.S. Forest Service locally. And then Title III is given to the county. And that's, I guess, what we're having the public hearing on. So, what it addresses is basically you guys needed to determine how you'd like to see that money spent. So I'm going to give you some history and then show you how it's expanded a little bit in the last few years. So in prior years, when my fire program, the fire program was built, it was pretty tight how the Title III could be used. Fire prevention and education. And then updating a community wildfire protection plan. And the third was reimbursing the county for county expenses responding to a fire on national forest. So, historically, what commissioners have done is provided the funding to this program. And by the way, I should say it's the bulk, and maybe Noodle can speak on this a little bit. Title I is the bulk of 1, 2, and 3. So Christina's not here, but it's a small percentage that goes into Title III.
Okay,
And I want to say it can't be 15% of whatever's brought in, but I don't have those numbers. I can get them to you. But historically, commissioners have given the Title III funding to the fire program to focus on fire prevention, education, and outreach, and then updating the community wildfire protection plan. In the last few years, and the third one was the responses to national forest. So now it's expanded to a couple different other things, including training costs and equipment, which is real big, and telecommunications for schools.
okay.
So I'm gonna say it's around 62,000, but I'll have to get back with you on that with Christina on the numbers.
Okay, yeah,
but
I
anyway,
don't know off the top of my head.
Historically, the commissioners have put it in the programs. It's part of what holds the fire division of emergency management and that link the federal, state, local agencies together. And so that's really where we are, is how you'd like to
Okay.
move forward with that. And if you have any questions, we were lucky enough to get grant funding. I put in for a community wildfire defense grant, which brought in some funding for the community wildfire protection plan. But then again, if this funding goes away, I guess you don't see me sit here.
Right.
That's what I was gonna ask.
It's a chunk.
so-
It's not enough.
And that's, yeah, this is a major portion of your program. then.
Yeah.
Okay,
However, I want to be open and honest. It's a public hearing. So, I mean, if people have questions about what I do or how the money can be spent, I'd be happy to talk about it,
okay.
best of my knowledge.
Anyone in the audience here or online have any questions for Gary? Waiver? Any commissioners? Okay. Let's go ahead and open it up for public comment, either for or against this SRS Title III funding. Does anyone have anything for in? Okay, does anybody have anything against what we're doing? All right, seeing none, I guess. Did anybody online? Okay. I guess if we have no questions, we have no comment. Are we ready for a motion?
Go ahead. I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, you don't.
No.
So I'll make a motion that the SRS funding, let's see, USDA, SRS, okay, I should say. I'll make a motion that the SRS Title III funding, USDA Forest Service funding for 2023. 2023?
It would be 2023, 24 budget.
24 budget, go to emergency, Baker County Emergency Management, Fire Management position.
I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is that correct,
Saying-
Gary? The position.
Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Back in business.
Back in business. Thanks.
All
Thanks,
right,
Gary.
I will now close public hearing for SRS Title III funding. Now I will open contract review board. A lot of good out of the gavel today. First up, Health Department Professional Service Agreement. Yeah, me too.
So really just these are contracts with two PAs and then our health officer. This we submit it every year. One contract is for Laura Van Duker, who provides our family planning services at the health department. Another contract is for Monty Anderson, who provides services for our school-based health center. And then our third contract is for our health officer, Dr. Lamb. And so he provides the professional services for the health department. We're required to have a health officer as well. And so all of the funding was approved in the budget hearing, I believe. I didn't hear otherwise. So typically, I mean, Laura comes 2 to 3 times a month. Her hours vary, but the funding that we propose typically covers her services. And then same thing for Monty at the school-based health center. And then Dr. Lamb comes at least once a week, and he's very readily accessible for any questions, comments, anything that we need from the health department. So just, I didn't know if you all had questions about the contracts or anything, but I thought I'd swing by and.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you for being here.
All three of these things are typical things we do every year. The one, we do it every 2 years with Dr. Lamb. So, ready for a motion?
Oh, sorry, just
Well,
one more
You want
thing.
to talk
wanted
about the rest of them?
to double, since I didn't add this, so I apologize, but we do pay for the insurance and then up to a certain
Okay.
amount as well. And that is typical every year.
Okay,
For
We
that.
do pay for what?
For their liability insurance,
liability
yeah,
insurance,
we
okay.
pay up to
For-
a certain amount for the PAs and the health
Okay.
officer.
So that's in addition to what we're paying them.
Yes, but that is also in our budget
Right.
that is
And this is,
approved every
that
year.
was typical, what we
Mhm.
always.
Mhm.
okay.
Yes.
I will need individual motion for each one.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with Monty Anderson, physician assistant, as a mid-level provider for our school-based health center for approximately 10 hours a week when school is in session. This is a 1-year contract for $60 per hour.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Say none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Now I'll make a motion that we also contract with Laura Van
Van Duker.
Duker.
Mhm.
Okay. Also a physician assistant for family planning services. She covers the family planning services approximately 10 hours a month. And this is also a 1-year contract at $60 per hour.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Saying none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And we'll also make a motion that we contract with Dr. Eric Lamb to provide health office professional services for the health department and school-based health clinic or center. And he provides medical direction and supervision for all clinical services at the health department and the school-based clinic. His contract is for 2 years at $2,000 per month. And that period would run from July 23 through June of 2025.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? No. Saying none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Pretty easy, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's talk about microfilm.
That still exists.
Well, yeah, we're not supposed to talk about
What are we talking about?
What? I don't know. So tell us why we need a microfilm machine.
Well, I apologize for my staff report. It was a little brief, but from my perspective, this is actually nothing more than a computer replacement. Except it actually has a microfilm. It's actually just one piece of equipment, but it's a computer with a microfilm attached. They're integrated. So we're getting rid of the Windows 10 machines, replacing them on the inventory. This is Windows 10. It's obsolete, end of life. So the new one will actually have to be Windows 10 or Windows 11 upgradable to Windows 12. So from my perspective, it's just a computer replacement, nothing really exciting.
Gotcha.
So, but as for the microfilm component of it, definitely sort of Stephanie into it. The ViewSonic 4, she approved that because of service level as well. It's a little bit, so there's not much more. So looking to approve ViewSonic 4 for $10,384. We do carry the maintenance on it because they are kind of complex machines, and they do have mechanical parts to it where they actually need
Is that
service.
That's the extra $600?
Right, yeah, the service is actually the lower of the two. And the other bids, as you can see, we didn't get a bid from BMI and Integra. It's actually the machines they have now, and they were actually a lot higher, as you can see.
Okay. And this, just to reiterate, this is for the clerk's office.
Correct, yeah.
And this allows us to be able to look at microfilm, whatever is on that, and then scan it to just about any, like a,
Correct,
Okay.
and it actually integrates into our computer system. That's why it's important to keep the software and the operating system,
sure.
you know, up to.
So you could scan and print a file, or you could scan and keep it as a JPEG or what's. the
Or you can
format?
export it out to TIFFs too.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Alright.
TIFFs is actually the common one they export.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Any discussion?
So, yeah, I'll make a motion that for through tech for the clerk microfilm machine. Recommended low bid of $10,385
Yep, that's correct.
with the 1-year maintenance, $600 from STI Imaging.
All right. I'll second the motion.
Have a motion and a second?
Oh, well, I was waiting. to
You're
confirm.
correct,
It
STI.
it is
Okay.
STI Imaging. Okay. Yes.
I seconded the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The other bid was $15,902.12 plus another, or what was? That was it, and a software package for $220 and a maintenance agreement for $995. So total of $17,117. So there's quite a difference. So $10,385 is much better.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. All right, Heidi, classification compensation study bid approval.
So when we last met with the SEIU union for our negotiations, we agreed to do a compensation study for that group prior to our next negotiation. And so that agreement expires June 30th of 2024. And so we went out to bid. I sent it out to a proposal out to 4 different providers. Heard back from, had 1 decline, 1 who didn't respond, actually 2 decline, 1 who didn't respond, and then did hear back from HR Answers. Part of what we also wanted them to look at is not only the compensation for the SEIU group, but also to take a look at the non-represented.
Yeah.
We figured that, you know, if we're going to have changes potentially in the SEIU group, it could impact the non-represented group as well. And so if we could just take a look at it all at once, a better idea. Last time we did a comp study, classification study was in, I believe it was in 2000, so it's been a while
Okay.
since they've been looked at. So HR Answers, they're proposing to look at both the non-rep and the SEIU group for an amount of $200 per hour, not to exceed 55,600. If you look back at their pay table, their cost of services further back,
I don't find, do you look at work?
Yeah, here. If I keep this up, I can
Sorry,
clean up my
Ellie.
whole.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can have mine.
Okay, go ahead.
so in the back, they have their pay table. And so if you look there, you'll see they have it broken out based on different aspects of what they're going to do as part of the study. They did say, again, that this is an hourly project. So as we start, one of the things they said where we could be able to cut costs is potentially on the job descriptions. So if we start looking at some of them and once we get them formatted correctly, if needed, then we can apply that to all the other job descriptions, which could cut down on that cost. So
And you said that they're gonna include a tool that we can use to do
yep,
comparisons.
so they have a pay equity tool. So pay equity is a law that was passed, I believe it was in 2017. And part of that is they look at different aspects of the jobs, but basically what it is if you have two jobs, they look at and make sure if they're doing the same duties that they're being paid the same for those duties. So if one's out of whack, they have this tool that they can use to determine, where they should be and make sure that people who are performing the same type of duties are being paid the same. So anyways, they have this tool that they'll they have a one-time fee for it, $1,800, and we'll be able to use that going forward for any positions that we add once we get the study done. So they anticipate it taking 6 to 8 months. They said that would probably be maybe not quite as long, depending
wow.
on the job descriptions. They might be able to get it done before the end of the year. So,
Okay. I didn't realize it was such a long process. I thought we
Yeah.
went to it a couple months, but
Merry Christmas time.
yeah,
right.
yeah. But the main thing is we just need to have it done before we go into negotiations with the next group. So.
Okay.
Yep. Something else to think about too, as far as other financial considerations, because this is for negotiations, if they do come back and have any recommendations for different pay scale, that will be part of our negotiations with the SEIU group. So if it's really out of whack, we could maybe phase in, or they'll probably have recommendations for that. So.
Motion?
Whoever.
No, I don't, but I will.
I was kinda stuck with it.
So I'll make the motion that we contract with, who is it?
HR Answers.
HR Answers for an amount not to exceed $55,600 and at $200 per hour, which they will only bill us for the work they actually perform and the time they actually have taken. So it could be substantially less than that. Yeah, there you go.
For the classification and compensation study.
There, thank you. Yeah.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Anybody online? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. It's good to finally get that going forward, so I'm good. I'm happy about that. All right, next up, statewide transportation improvements fund and federal transportation administration. This is by 5310 fund bid approval and notice of intent to award.
Good morning.
Just easy stuff, huh?
Good morning. Today I'm asking for a recommendation of notice of intent to award contracts for the statewide transportation improvement fund and the FTA 5310 funds to Community Connections and to Elkhorn Taxi. Once you do the notice of intent to award, they have 5 days to protest.
Okay.
And after that time is up, then you may sign the contract. Right now, we do have one response to the contract. I have forwarded that to Kim for her review.
Okay,
So when the work group met, they did recommend funding and at the levels that are indicated on your notice of intents. I have score sheets. 3 of the 4 reviewers have responded to me, and I have those.
okay.
Okay,
We
you should have minutes from the meeting,
From May 30th.
correct?
So the advisory group were satisfied that they met the requirements and that we were good to go ahead and send the notice.
Across the board, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Can I just add a little something to
Of
that too?
course.
So I think today is just to accept the recommendation to move forward as far as entering into agreements. And so by signing these letters in your packets, which are the notice of intents, we'll get those sent out. And like Donnie said, there will be a 5-day protest period, but
Sure.
anytime after that point is when you guys can enter into an agreement with the providers. And so the 2 providers are Community Connections and Elkhorn Taxi.
Okay.
And there's 2 pots of money that we're awarding for. So the both providers put in for both pots of money. So, and those funding streams are the STIF, which is the statewide transportation
Improvement fund.
improvement fund.
Improvement fund.
And
Yeah.
then the FTA Federal Transit Authority 5310 funds. And so anyway, so that's what the notice of intent is for, is that it's our intention to enter into an agreement with those 2 providers for the services that they put in their proposal using those 2 pots of money.
Okay,
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to accept the recommendation for the statewide transportation improvement fund and Federal Transportation Administration FTA 5310 fund bid approval and notice of intent to award to Community Connections of Northeast Oregon and Elkhorn Taxi.
Second the motion.
all right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hang online. All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for-
Good
Bonnie.
job. Thank you. All right. I'm looking forward to this one. This is Fair Board, the Cochrane Arena fan purchase approval. Good morning.
So we are proposing for a new fan to be put into our show barn. We've dealt with a lot of heat and a lot of issues and uncomfortable for kids to be showing in there. And I finally have the opportunity to get one of these fans for in there. So we have one proposed for you. It's the only one that we have proposed. There's not another fan out there that's comparable to it. So I have, it would be comparing apples to oranges. So this is the fan that I'm proposing that we get. It's got, it's a silent fan, which is very important for the show arena, and it's got the airflow that we're looking for. It's got the safety features, the warranties that we're looking for that no other fan out there has.
Can I add to that?
Yes,
also?
please.
Sorry.
Thank you, Heidi.
So,
Someone's gonna have to.
so we, part of the addition, so because they are the only provider, there is a sole source order, order number 2023-131, designating them as a sole source. So this would be in addition to accepting their bid. You would also want to adopt order number 2023-131, designating them as a sole source as well.
Okay. Do you guys have,
Well,
well, whoever wants. Do you have any questions or?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had the sole source paperwork and everything was going okay.
So we designate sole source first. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I recommend we approve order number 2023-131, designating Big Ass Fans as the sole source provider for Baker County.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? What was the name of that provider again? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Okay, now I'll make a motion that we approve the ceiling fan kit, Powerfoil D 14 foot. Okay,
Yeah.
$7,492. And they're the sole bid for this, and so the sole provider. So the motion is to approve that purchase.
Okay, from who again?
The Baker
I'll
County
second.
Cochrane Marina Fair for Baker County Fair Board.
All right.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
As requested by Angela Robb, phone number 541.
Okay, that's enough. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye,
Motion carries. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Right back in just
Oh, okay.
While road department is coming up.
Okay,
Be
sure.
right back.
All right, road department. Let's talk about culverts and graders and road stuff.
All right, so first of all, we went out to bid to get a truckload of pipe for our culverts. Saved us about 20% payment that way. 2 years is what seems to last us.
Okay,
Went to 3 businesses, 2 replied with bids. Triple Valley.
okay. Can you explain, these are a little different than just regular corrugated culverts, aren't they?
Basically just culvert pipe.
They are, okay. Okay.
16 gauge for road use. I mean,
Right,
that's about.
okay. I had to take a call.
Oh, okay. So we just do it ourselves, right? Or you wanna wait?
I think we could. I don't think we're,
Well, we can, yeah. So I'll make a motion, we approve the bid of $68,902 through Treasure Valley Pipe for the road department to purchase culvert.
all right, I'll second. And 5 cents.
Oh, and 5 cents. Sorry.
With a 5 cent addition to the motion, I'll second that.
Do we have to put the stamp on the deal to mail?
It could have cost us $10 to
It
fix
could,
that.
yes.
Any further discussion on that? Oh. All right,
You can second.
I've seconded. We're buying culverts.
Oh, yes, and I did read this.
Okay. You have any discussion for or against buying culverts?
No,
Okay, I
I
figured
understand that we lost some.
it is the season.
Yeah.
So, all right, I have a motion and a second. I don't see any further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Next on the list is a grader. Umatilla County is getting rid of the grader that they purchased in 2016. Have an opportunity to acquire this for $160,000, which they paid $320 back then for it when they bought it new. Upgrade one of our older 91 John Deere's. It would be built if we kept it.
Okay. All right, how many hours on the one that we're buying?
It's about 9,000 as much as we could. We've changed it a few times. Well, the one we're buying,
Yeah.
no, 5,000.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that sounds good. You want to buy a grader?
We bought one once already.
I know.
Yeah.
Once, probably more than
Twice,
once.
maybe. I don't
I
know.
think- How many have we got?
So we currently have 12 graders.
Okay,
2 of them are 2018, 3 of them are like a 99 to 02 vintage. Everything else is from 83 to 90.
let's start weeding some of the older ones out. I think that'd be a good idea.
Is that the plan for, are you, no, not weeding out any? You are,
They were gonna get rid of
the John Deere, that's,
for now.
Just replacing stuff. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase for the road department to buy a Caterpillar 12 M2 grader priced at $160,000 from Umatilla County.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And no cents.
No. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, thank you.
Sign.
All right. Is that it for,
Yeah.
is that it for,
Wildfire grant.
oh,
But
okay,
that's-
we do need to keep that in contract review.
No,
Okay. All right,
Actually, we couldn't skip off the fair. We did,
oh, or where did we put the fair?
talk about that.
Well,
well, that's an executive agreement. 'Cause we already-
yeah, because, yeah, we're not going to be able to make a motion on that today, are we? Okay, yeah, let's just go ahead and I'll go ahead and close contract review board. And we'll go to Community Wildfire Risk Reduction Grant update.
Hi, folks.
How are you?
Feeling pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
Everybody's noticed we're having a couple warmer days each week. I start thinking about wildfires. We've already had some fires on the west side, some fires in Keating, if I'm not mistaken. That was taken care of. Lucky to have Buzz out there. He's the man. So yeah, here, we applied for this grant with some help from our rural fire guys and the Forest Service. It was awarded to us, the Community Wildfire Risk Reduction Grant. And it's in cooperation with the I don't know how you'd say that, but it's the
Wooey.
Wildland Urban Interface. You say it however you'd like, but so this money is going to be tomato. I prefer potatoes. So you, this fund, this grant is basically for the east facing Elkhorn drainages, several that were named. And what we're gonna be doing is reducing the fire danger by getting a bunch of the fuels out, widening out a couple corners for sight distance. Maybe we'll add a couple culverts in our cost as we integrate the whole program, but we just want to bring it in front of you guys because we got some new faces up here when it comes to these little grants that come in, just to kind of make you guys aware that we're going to be signing this if you're okay with that. This stuff will just, once we get it signed and we're going to get a check, I believe that's how it's working from the way I read the contract. We don't have to bill for it each time. And once the, we obviously don't want to start it yet. We have a big chip seal coming up, but we don't want to do this during fire season. So we'll do it in the fall or the early spring. Okay. When it's getting wet up those drainages, so we don't cause any fires ourselves. We're going to try possibly get a mulcher that can mulch a bunch of this for ground cover.
Oh,
There,
yeah.
Possibly to see what it costs.
Can you use your new mower and attachment?
It's going to be
For
doing the majority of
doing
the
that?
small brushing. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be doing a bunch of that. And then we'll probably go through and pull out some of the stumps if there's any of that stuff left over.
Would it be worth maybe looking into renting a mulcher since we don't need one all the time to do that?
Yeah.
Let's think about that.
ODOT has one that I'm gonna try to
Oh,
use a lot
yeah.
of them if it's big enough.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll talk like mainline paving. They have one that'll do 12-inch trees.
Oh, yeah.
and Stuff that's in the right of way.
Are you partnering with anybody else on this project?
Not at this point.
Okay.
Not at this point. If we work with ODOT, we'll just be renting or borrowing their equipment. They won't be on site.
Okay.
Sure.
So
I know-
that's the gist of it.
Kelly brought this to us last month.
Yeah, we've had it. It's been in our grass for a little bit. We're just trying to get some T's crossed and I's dotted before we brought to you guys.
Okay. That sounds like a heck of a deal to me. I'm glad to see that work's getting done. So good.
Yeah, it'll
Good,
be good.
good.
And
It's a nice surprise too to receive that.
it
Yeah,
is. We're pretty
yeah.
fortunate, really fortunate. Everybody in Eastern Oregon really stepped up and put in a lot of good applications. Good stuff. Absolutely.
Good.
Yep. Is good with it?
I'm good with it.
Right on.
Thank
Good with
you.
it.
So
Thank you.
there's, I guess there's a meeting at Greenhorn coming up, July 2nd.
Really? Okay.
Convenient for them, not for everybody else.
Was this supposed to be with you for the IGA?
Mhm.
Oh.
We're
We,
definitely not gonna do a bunch of work up there during fire season.
no, no.
No.
I
So-
haven't talked to Mayor Colmeyer for a few weeks, so I didn't know about that. So is it with you and the Greenhorn and
think
anybody
it's-
else?
Your name's mentioned. So I was
Oh.
asking you.
Wow,
So hopefully you don't have any plans on that weekend since they'll be in town camping. None of the rest of us will be.
Well,
maybe I'll camp at
I
Vinegar
was,
Hill.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
Maybe, yes, if there's gonna be food there, I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Okay,
but if
yeah,
not, It's on a weekend. I think it's a Saturday.
sure, because it's 4th
So-
of July weekend.
right.
Yes, absolutely. So love going
Um,
up there for free on a weekend to discuss it with them. Be my pleasure. If-
July
If you need a ride,
2nd.
let me know. So get a hold of us. See if we're going the second or not.
Okay, and then information was from Mayor
I
Colmeyer?
think I got it from Dennis, her husband.
No, it's, oh, Dennis, yeah, that he is the mayor.
Okay,
Okay,
well. There's your
good.
invitation.
yeah, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
I also want to go out to Wood Tick with Gary when you're out there talking to
Yeah.
them. Okay.
I do. I'd like to see what, I haven't been out there to see what they've done, so.
Yeah, what's going on? Do we have?
Aaron should have all.
Linda Wise?
We're gonna have to approve this. the agreement that they want to sign, but we need to approve that. Yeah,
For noodles?
for the grant, yeah.
I thought we already did that last
I thought we did
session.
with
Did we?
Kelly.
Yeah,
I thought we did with Kelly.
signed it.
This one? I don't see,
Kelly brought that forward about the grant.
I thought so.
Uh-huh. I believe that we did.
I think this was the update after the signing. Let's double, we can hold off today and double check the minutes.
So what you could do is. You guys are in favor of it.
Oh, yeah.
so if it's already been approved, how about we just do another one? And if it's, and if it's already approved, then it's
Do I need to reopen contract review board?
no. Yes. No, yes.
I'm now reopening contract review board. So,
Okay, so I will make a motion, just to make sure that we're legal here, to approve the grant agreement for the road department to sign the grant agreement. Title is 2023 Community Wildlife Risk Reduction Program Grant, agreement number 2023-CWRR-001 for an amount of let's see that. Where did I see it? It was 300 and yes, there it is. Okay. What she said,
okay,
and no sense.
and no sense.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in, any further discussion?
Maybe tell Noodle why he,
Why we drug him back in? We're not sure if we covered this last session or not, so we're
So we're doubling
doubling back.
up just
When
in
Kelly
case.
So
came
if
to
you
us.
did cover it, then that means general fund's gonna give me 307,000 this one? So it's doubled up?
No, no,
How's that gonna
no,
work?
no, no,
No.
no. This is,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Just checking.
it's
Yeah.
the same
Same money,
number.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate it. You good?
I don't know. Do we have a second?
I don't know.
Yes,
Every
I
time you
second
come
it.
in, you just, it's always gimme, gimme, gimme.
This is free money.
Oh,
It's free money.
Yeah,
He
free
free
money.
money. he
Yeah.
says.
If I could get a grant for free money to pay for equipment,
please.
I'd be all over it, but I
Yeah,
can't do it.
yeah. No, you did well. I'm appreciative. So,
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I hate to ask.
No.
Okay,
no.
all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you, Noodle.
I am now closing contract review board until
Okay.
further notice. Do we want to do the fair thing right now or just drop it all the way to the bottom? What would you recommend? Okay. Let's get
Yeah.
that done. Let's go ahead and let me turn to my,
Erin, I don't see Linda. One of the mayors. Yeah, Sumter. Okay.
these have to be two separate public hearings, correct? Okay. All right, I'm now going to open a public hearing for ordinance number 2023-01, regulating the removal of homeless individuals camping on public property.
Sorry to jump in there.
Do you want to, okay, well, I can close public hearing. You're gonna have to
It's
buy
still-
me a new
It's
cap.
still open. They're still in.
Oh, I
public
can
hearing.
still, That's
it's
true.
just-
I could
it's the
open,
next
okay,
order.
I will also open public hearing for order number 2023-129, renaming Tamarack Lane to Trail End Road.
So what you have before you is a road name change from Tamarack Lane to Trail End Road. And the location is of the existing Tamarack Lane is part of the Deerview subdivision. It's up north of McEwen. And the reason for this renaming is for emergency management and public safety issues. Our road naming ordinance does not allow us to have the same road name on two different locations within the county. And we currently have a Tamarack Road south of Stacy's Gulch, on
Mhm.
245. So this was actually platted in 1980, which is predates our address ordinance.
Oh,
There's
okay.
never been an address on this stretch of road. And we recently got a request for it. And that's where we realized, whoa, hey, there's a problem here.
Okay.
We need to flip the name. So we did a ballot with adjacent property owners. We got a return and Trail End became the one that they had picked. Those were all vetted through the road department as well.
Okay.
So they're appropriate to be used. And New just left. So, but it was through his department said, here's a list that we can use. And that's what went out on the ballot. And it's in the report.
Okay. Well, then I will now open up for public comment, either for or against the renaming. Is there anyone to speak for or against? All right, I don't see anyone. We'll close public comment. Commissioners, do you have anything? Are we ready for a motion?
Yes. Okay, I make a motion, we approve order number 2023-129 in the matter of issuing a decision regarding renaming Tamarack Lane in the Deerview Park subdivision to Trail End Road, located in section 07A of Township 10 South, Range 38 East, Willamette Meridian, Baker County, Oregon. You want me to read it? The order?
Can we do an order by title only, or does it have to be
Do we?
written?
Have to?
It's just an order.
Okay, then we don't have to read it then.
Okay,
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. I will close public hearing for order number 2023-129, renaming Tamarack Lane to Trail End Road.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yep. So we are still in public hearing for ordinance number 2023-01, regulating the removal of homeless individuals camping on public property.
Hi, I'll just give you a little bit of background. So as you probably know, last biennium, the state legislature considered and passed two bills. Well, two bills in particular related to homeless individuals on public property. House Bill 3115 then is now ORS 195530. So that requires changes to any law that regulates sitting, sleeping, lying, or keeping warm and dry on public property open to the public. And that it required changes to any of those laws to ensure that it did certain things. So the county arguably has one law or one ordinance that regulates those things on public property, and that one could be interpreted to be the parks ordinance.
Okay.
So not specifically the part of the ordinance that relates to Hewlett and Holcomb Park, which is where camping is allowed, but that there's a portion of that that tells the public that overnight camping is not allowed in any of the other park properties. So that provision in our parks ordinance was changed slightly to make it clear why we don't allow overnight camping in any of those other parks properties. So we we specified that it's absolutely true. It's due to the remote nature of those places and our lack of resources to be able to make sure people who might be camping there are safe and secure. So we don't allow camping in other public parks or other county parks properties, just in Hewlett Holcomb Park. And so our parks ordinance outlines exactly how that's supposed to be, right? So that is House Bill 3115, and that's under ORS 1953530. So there was another piece of legislation, that's House Bill 3124. And that requires all municipalities and counties to have a policy for removal of homeless individuals camping on public property. So if there was a homeless individual camping on public property, and due to, if there was a need to ask those folks to move on, we have to do it in a very particular way. And the statute outlines the elements that have to be in that policy. So what you have in front of you is an ordinance that essentially lifts those requirements out of state statute and places them into this ordinance. And it tells anyone who, any law enforcement or public officer who needs to work to move a homeless individual off of public property, how they need to do it. Requires a 72-hour notice. There are some requirements around how personal property needs to be held and for how long. And so what's in front of you is there isn't any anything in there that isn't also in the state statute. You can look at the whereas statements that I've proposed. They're pretty concise, but really out of all of the ordinance, that's where the flexibility is right there in those whereas statements. But it's in front of you today, and you can decide to move forward with it.
Aaron, did we have one of the mayors ask a question on this ordinance? Okay.
And they just wanted to know if they needed, or the small cities, if small cities needed to pass this ordinance by July 1st.
So I'll like maybe address a couple of things there. So that first House bill that I talked about, that 3115, that had a July 1 deadline. So all municipalities had until July 1 of 2023 to look at any regulation that they have and make sure it complies with that. I don't see a July 1 deadline for this piece, this policy regarding the removal of homeless individuals. But the way it's phrased, we just need to have the policy now. We need to have a policy relating to how we would ask people to move on. So there's that piece. And then the second is that the county ordinance, I know the county in the past has provided to particularly the smaller cities, ordinances that they have drafted and passed sort of as a template. The city has to make its own decision about what it looks like. They can get their own legal counsel to review it, or they can also take what the county's adopted and do a find and replace and put in their city name and do that if they choose. But that's going to need to go to their city councils, and they're going to have to decide if that's what they want to do. I'll just reiterate that there isn't anything in here that is Baker County specific except for those whereas statements. The rest of it comes straight out of the state statute.
Does this change any of the municipalities that have already adopted a ordinance?
No.
It doesn't at all.
No, this is it's countywide, so it is, any within the confines, within the city limits of any particular city, the ordinance won't apply.
Okay.
It'll just be it's just in the county, in the unincorporated areas. So
Okay.
Yep, only on those properties that are public property is open to the public.
Sure.
So if it's a, if it's a public property that is.
Okay, so if it was a rock pit and it was all locked up and everything, and somebody was in their county rock pit or something. like
That's
that,
right. Then we wouldn't need to use this process.
It would be a different process.
Yes, and then we could talk about how to get somebody to move. I mean, there is also provisions for emergency situations. So if somebody was breaking the law, if there was a health hazard, if there was something else,
Sure.
then those timelines, we don't have to wait 72 hours for somebody to get hurt. So we can move outside that, but if somebody was actually in the rock pit and it was a emergency situation, somebody's going to get hurt in there, then we would just take care of the emergency.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any further questions
Ask for testimony in favor,
after
opposition?
after I ask if you guys have any
No,
other
I don't.
questions? You guys, commissioners, okay?
Yeah, it looked fine.
Okay. Do we have any public testimony in favor of this ordinance? Do we have any public testimony against adoption of this ordinance? All right, seeing none, if we have no further discussion or questions, we can move to a motion.
Move that we approve ordinance number 2023-01, an ordinance regulating the removal of homeless individuals camping on public property by title only and declare it an emergency.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Last call for any discussion. All right, seeing none. Did you have?
One more thing to add to that, because you are declaring this an emergency, it will take effect immediately.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Now I
Motion,
was going to read the
motion carried.
ordinance is now approved and adopted and shall take effect immediately.
all right,
Beat me to it.
all right. I will now close public hearing for ordinance number 2023-01, regulating the removal of homeless individuals camping on public property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
All right, are we on to the fair agreement? I think
Well,
that's-
it's not the end. We've got Hewitt and Holcomb.
Oh, we
That's-
do.
That's next. That's F.
Where?
Turn page.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Gotcha. Let's do. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. These are documents to be signed. Okay, yeah, let's do discussion for Holcomb Hewitt Park water line letter of agreement and discussion. Did everybody get a chance to read through? Okay,
Yes, I read through the agreement that was presented from Richland, and then I marked up the page. And it should be noted that they had this agreement at their city council meeting on the 26th of May. And we did not have any notice that I know of that this agreement was ready and that it was going to be presented on the 26th.
no, I had contacted Mayor Latin. I'm not sure what the date was. It was
Prior.
a little prior, at least a month. And he said that their agreement was still in the hands of the lawyer. And then I had asked my assistant to check on the dates. And at one point they had said, I believe, you remember what the dates were, Aaron? Was it the 3rd they were scheduling, but they didn't have a quorum? And they thought it would be,
So I just had sent an email to the city of Richland and asked when their next city council meeting would be, and that was on May 9th. And the city reporter responded and it said it was scheduled for May 19th, but they may not have a quorum, which would push it back to the 26th.
Oh, so we didn't even know
We did
whether or
not.
not it would be on the agenda or not. Okay,
Otherwise, you would have probably done that.
yeah, I would have been happy to go out and pick it up. Even if I'd gone and picked it up, I think they may have thought I've been in a position to sign it then. I don't know that they understood that I would have to bring it back and have each commissioner look at it and agree to it. So,
Most definitely. I think that it warrants more than one signature.
Well, and it does,
And
sure.
for all of us to review it.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, and
So at this point, I really feel like, I mean, this is what I did to the letter. And I feel that it needs to be revised,
I
and
do too.
and certain things addressed in their agreement that they offered. I appreciate them writing the agreement and sending it to us. But at the same time, there's quite a few things in there that I don't agree with.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we had spoke about when we went out and met with the city council was that we don't have a water department. We don't have anyone to maintain that line. And then,
And yeah, and they are the utility for the water.
right. And I think if we, and I don't have any problem as long as the engineers say there's enough water to make it down to the park, that we can also include any of the homes alongside. I don't have any problems with them being connected. But that being said, you've got, each one will have a meter. The city will be making money from each one of those. And typically, when you build a home or buy a home and hook it up, you're responsible from the home to the meter.
And that's what they stated at that city council in
Yeah.
Richland. When I said, how much would just a saddle cost us while the line was going
Mhm.
in to put in at each one of those residents? And the gentleman there said that he thought around $100.
Sure.
And so that's when I thought that we felt, sure, that's doable on the way down there, so that these people have good water. And then I also asked specifically, who pays once the property ties into that line, who pays for that? And they said that is the responsibility of the property owner for that cost of tying in and putting that meter in at their property.
I have no problem putting in the saddles to accommodate those people.
Sure.
Once the project's done,
They
or,
need good water.
right, and that's just fine. I think, also where it specifically says county water line, either be a 6 or 4-inch line from city boundary, I think we should just strike all language of pipe size.
That should be up to the engineer.
Yeah, that's their job to figure out what the volume and need is, have the engineer figure out what it is, and to accomplish what we want to do, to provide water to all of these people. So,
And being that it will be engineered, that we have to get this agreement in place in order to get the RFPs out. And the RFPs will include the engineering in that. This is the first step, then the RFPs
Right.
with the engineering. And I know that they're concerned about engineering. It will be engineered. That's our part of getting to this next step of the RFPs that include the engineering overall. So I agree. We cannot be the utility on the line. When it gets to Hewitt and Holcomb Park, then we're responsible for everything through the
Right.
2 parks.
right.
But we have to, the utility should be given to the utility.
Well, and I do too. I think they're going to be able to, I would assume that they would hit the park up for non-residential fee and a residential fee of anyone that ties in.
Yes,
So,
yes, that's why you sell the water. That's why you have
Right.
those fees is to pay for to pay for the line, for the
Right.
maintenance. And as the utility, then it makes sense that they would be responsible for that.
right.
Everything down to the parks, but not including.
Well,
the
and that's
parks.
another, it says, it is anticipated that there shall be approximately 8 customers. I would strike that and have a little Baker.
Yes.
Because what if this takes 2 years and somebody builds another house down there?
Sure.
So, or,
And it's the city's decision
yeah.
at
Well,
that
and
point
that's right. Yeah,
for residents to tie in.
yeah.
And this is just the preliminary. To get this going. I think there'll be a-
Can we kind of rewrite some of the things that we feel and then get with them?
I wasn't going to get into this discussion, but I'd like to say one thing. I think they don't really understand everything yet, and someone needs to go out there with that city council and go through this and make your list out of what you would like in the agreement and tell them the reasons why and explain to them on each count. And
Sure.
in other words, just negotiate it right then and there between them and us, basically.
And he did.
Instead of doing it by letter back and forth.
Well, no,
and-
no, I
and
would go out
2-month
in
meeting
person.
or a half a month later meeting or
And
a
I
month and
agree
a
with
half
that.
or something like
I
that.
agree with
Just
that. That would be nice if
Sit down
there
at the table
was,
and do it. Yeah.
there'd be nice if there was that communication. And I know that you invited Mayor Latin to
I did.
participate in this discussion today. And
But it's actually the council's
It's the
decision
council-
on that.
it's the
And
council's
so they're the
ultimate
ones
And I
that-
understand that.
yeah.
No, I promised them I'd be happy to go out. I just have to,
We just did not
I
get
just have to
that
have a full,
announcement that
There was
this
a
was going to
communication
be.
breakdown. I get
yeah.
it.
And I did call out and talk to a couple people, and that was what happened. It wasn't
Doesn't sound like it was intentional.
it wasn't
It's
intentional.
just
It
unfortunate
just-
that it was put in the Hells Canyon Journal as such.
Well, I hear you there. So, yeah.
And I was spoken to a lady that had written that, and I got a heartfelt apology about that. And then is it city recorder is Patty? We spoke to Patty, and I think it was just a breakdown in emails. So it was kind of a rough article in the paper, but I think it was just a mistake. But no, I'm happy to go out and hang out in Richland anytime.
Okay.
So
So
let's, I guess everybody, I guess the takeaway is let's put our list of concerns together and then send them into Aaron, or should we have legal counsel look it over, or just,
I mean, if they're just suggestions.
I
at
guess
this
if they're
point,
just
knocking
suggestions, then it would
points,
go
I don't-
back, it would go back to their people.
I
then.
don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Bruce, did you have any changes?
Basically the same thing as what they're talking about. And that's all I have. I don't really care to get into it anymore, but
So want to get a copy of your changes or comments?
Sure.
To me, get those together. Incorporate it all into one document.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
And
And then I'll go out and we'll talk it over again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you want to do now? You sure? Yeah, let's do it. All right, let's go ahead and, what do we call it?
Do we have papers on that?
I don't, do we? Oh,
to the agenda.
okay, yeah. Was, is Ron on?
There's an R.
Yes.
Hey, there you are. Can you
Hey,
hear us okay?
yeah. Is Mark Johnson there? I think he was there. He's gonna come back.
Okay, yeah. I guess you want to come up to the pulpit or sit or?
Do you want me to give any kind of?
I don't know.
Okay.
If whoever
So-
wants to start.
Sure, I
yeah.
know that, that the commissioner and Fair Board have worked hard to come up with to work through what needed to be in this contract. I don't know if there is if there's a staff report or any kind of report from the fair. But late in the day yesterday, and so there have been suggested changes. The Fair Board had another attorney help draft the contract. I gave some input on some of the things that I was, that would help to address some concerns commissioners may have. The contract was sent to me in what the fair believed to be its final form at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday.
Okay,
It never made it onto the agenda for this meeting that was published. But, you know, I got it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I had meetings yesterday afternoon, so I
I-
wasn't gonna get to it.
I was just wiped out all day yesterday too, so.
So then it didn't end up on the agenda for a vote, but it's here for.
For
you to
discussion.
discuss. And,
Okay.
Yeah, and I know that you've had a lot of discussion with the.
And
the
we
Fair
did,
Board,
and we,
so.
yeah, we went over, several aspects of this agreement and we met 3 or 4 times.
Right, and I'll just, I'll say that most of the conversation is around this public contracting, some public contracting requirements. And so, we want to ensure that so this position will be guiding the public contracting, will be guiding the projects that will happen at the fair. And Ron could probably speak to this. I don't want to step on anybody else's role here, but those contracts with that large grant for the fair, those contracts will have to be guided by public contracting. And so
Right.
the commissioners sitting as contract review board will see and should expect to see any contract that is over $5,000, any contract over up to and including $150,000 has to go out for formal bid. Under that, then we just have to ensure that all of the contracting adheres to the county's public contracting resolution.
Right.
So do you have any other questions?
I think, okay,
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Do you?
I know I did have this question, but I don't anymore after listening. to him. So,
Okay.
I guess that's been taken care of, what we had talked about earlier.
So there was because the proposed contractor, personal service contractor, who will be the project manager for these contracts, has been a participant in the construction field here. There was a concern that there may be a conflict of interest in
Right.
future. So there's a conflict of interest clause included in here, and there was a lot of discussion around that. But there isn't any problem with the conflict of interest clause doesn't prevent any of the work to be done. It doesn't create any barriers to that, to having that work get done. It just creates a process. So if a conflict were to arise, this is how you dispose of it.
Right.
And that is in the contract now. There is one piece that, like I said, I got it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. And so I haven't taken a whole lot of time with it. I've seen it a dozen times up to
Right.
this point. But there's one piece that, that I would point you to that I looked over this, after looking it over this morning, that there is a list of exclusions. So this contract includes basically project management. And then there's a list of exclusions, things the contract doesn't include. And that is, I would expect to see that.
Sure.
That's pretty normal. It does mean that those exclusions, if those services are going to be provided or needed, then it'll have to be public contracting that guides how you get those services contracted for.
Oh, sure.
So, the language in the exhibit talks about change orders. So rather than a change order, I'm going to recommend that that the word change order be removed, amendment or change order be removed, and that it's fine to have these additional tasks contracted separately, but those additional tasks will need to be contracted through public contracting, not as a change order or an amendment, but just
Or-
as its own.
Okay, including
Contract.
amendment or change order, that language in there.
Yeah,
Both of
and
them.
if they are contracted separately as an additional task, that's fine, but we just need to ensure that if it's over $5,000, that comes here.
Yeah.
After it goes to would first go to the Fair Board for their recommendation, and then the Fair Board should bring that to you.
I agree.
Yep.
So anyway, and I don't know if you want to, get it on the next,
I think we're-
agenda for.
I think after, I mean, we've just worked the heck out of this thing. I think I'm happy with it as long as, as long as conflict of interest can be resolved appropriately, then I'm happy with taking the Fair Board's recommendation on who they want. So we'll put it on the next agenda. I wish I'm sorry we couldn't have got it on the agenda to make a motion today, but it just came in too late. We have to publicly notice it. So we can do that. Okay.
Yeah. In the meantime, will they amend that language of the amendments and take out amendment or change order in that exhibit C?
Ron?
Yeah, I mean, we'll do whatever we need to do on that.
Okay.
I don't know, is Mark there?
Yeah.
Mark, did you have a comment on that?
Could you come up?
No. Do we need to get him in front of a microphone? We need
Could
to,
we-
Yeah, I can't hear him,
Yeah, could you guys
even up here.
come and sit?
Yeah, I think we either need to. We'll either need to talk about it or then bring it to you.
Okay,
We need you to come up in front of the microphone, Mark, so that everybody else can hear you and it's recorded.
I think what we better do is talk more to make sure that there's an understanding about what the language
is gonna
Okay,
be and what
I-
the,
I was under the impression that we'd already agreed upon the changes, that we'd get the final draft.
Well,
so-
when we talked you and I talked with the Fair Board or with with Ron and Dean, we did.
Okay,
And so maybe what we need to do then is to go back with the Fair Board and see if their recommendation to you is the contract with those changes, or if their recommendation to you is that they continue to work on the language. But
Okay.
it sounds like it's maybe not ready it wouldn't have been ready for today anyway.
right. Well, let's attempt to put it on next session and we'll continue on till we get it nailed to the ground.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Okay, is that everything? Can we go to documents to be signed? Can we? All right. Economic Development Quail Ridge Golf Course Commitment Letter. You,
Potential changes I would recommend.
Okay.
okay,
The first one is project is estimated to cost 500,000. Project is actually 1,500,000. So we need to get that in there.
so you want that changed to actual cost of?
Yes. And we need to be accurate with
Okay.
this, I think.
yes.
Also, I would like to add this sentence right under the first paragraph there. Baker County EDC, the Economic Development Committee, believe that Quail Ridge Golf Course is an economic generator for Baker County and are interested in this collaboration to enhance our community.
Oh, yeah.
Then number 5, under your second paragraph there, other funding sources should be utilized prior to requesting funds from Baker County. I don't think that'll be possible, and so I don't think that ought to be a requirement, because what this project probably will not happen until into 24, probably the fall of 24. And I visited with a couple of the people on this, and they said once they get everything put together, it could probably be done in 2 weeks. And so they're going to have all the funding anyway. But if it's not, if they have to piecemeal a little bit of it, they're going to need this $150,000 just to get it going and get it in the ground. So it doesn't matter. We're still, it's transient lodging tax money anyway. And so it's going to be part of the project. Everything is that we have up there above that is going to cover all that stuff anyway. And so by saying you have to spend that last, that doesn't make sense.
The city manager had talked about in a couple interactions I had with him saying, yeah, when it comes time to, write the check, we have to, we have to have a mechanism for that. So, yeah, I think the time, let me see what you've got.
I think Heidi,
This part.
on that on number 5, was that referring to if they found the funding in full?
Yeah, I think that's what we talked
That-
about last time.
I think that's what that was referring to. If they found the funding in full, then
Okay.
leave these funds in place.
Then, okay,
So like if they got a
maybe-
huge grant or something like that and it would cover the majority of it along with other monies that they've gathered from here and there, we're asking for ours to come in last.
Okay.
To seek other funding.
Okay,
And if
right.
they don't need it, then plenty other
Right.
EDC
The way-
economic
Yeah,
development.
the way I saw it, it sounded like, hey, this is our money and we don't want you to spend it.
Well, we don't,
Unless
but
you drop it
we
or short.
don't. There's a lot of other economic drivers that the 150,000 could go to if they
If
were
they
to
don't, if they
secure
don't need them.
their full funding.
Well,
And I'm not saying that
I
I expect that or I don't expect it or anything like that. It's just that
Okay.
it was that
If it could
opportunity.
say, I just didn't want to offend the city council. and That
Right.
was my intent of changing some of the wording here.
So
And-
what we could say is if you wanted to clarify that sentence, you could say if the city is able to obtain full funding from other sources,
Agreed.
Yes.
That
then,
makes sense. Yeah.
they won't use our money, but
Yeah.
I mean, we can work that in there.
I can guarantee you that will not happen, but
Yeah.
so,
And
yeah.
Well, you never.
I'd like it in there though.
Yeah.
have they
Yeah.
talked, so you mentioned that they might piecemeal it out, or
No, I don't think so.
would this
It's
150 go
I
to
don't think
just?
so, but they have to go out for proposals and stuff first. So all this has to, it could happen, maybe they can request proposals by the end of this year or September, October, I don't know.
They're looking for
might move
multiple
Pretty
grant
fast. But
opportunities.
there's going to be several different funding sources from what I understand. And they're kind of meeting what I talked about originally. I wanted the golfers to be invested in this as well. In other words, bear some of the pain of paying for it.
And they
And
are.
that is going to happen.
Yeah.
And so and that makes me want to support the project even more.
All 500 of their people that are members.
Maybe not that, but
Sorry.
there's some that are gonna put in substantial amounts of money.
I think, yeah, I mean, the golf board's invested
Should
and then
if
the
they want.
500 members, I'm sure they'll put projects to support it.
More fundraisers. things
Right,
like
right.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tournament fundraisers.
So it hadn't all been melded together yet, but they've got a pretty good plan going, I think.
So we don't do anything today. I'm not gonna sign that unless until
Yeah,
it's
Right, we just wait until, well, we
revised.
could if we could get the change done. and
If
we
you
could
guys are clear on those changes, we can make those and have you
Right, and
sign.
then just
I mean,
sign it
if it's just
out of
those,
session.
when you can
those
drop in.
things.
Yeah.
Is there a rush on it?
I think probably be a good idea because city council meeting is coming up next Tuesday. And so I think that'd be a good time to get it over there before then.
So the changes we have so far are, we're going to say that the project is estimated to cost $1,500,000 in that first paragraph. We're gonna add Bruce's sentence about that it's not
And
economic,
I've got it
yeah.
here. Yeah.
that he read, if you guys are okay with that.
And the
then,
$1,500,000.
You
Yeah,
did?
the 1,500,000, add Bruce's sentence, and
you're
then
Kind of
under-
modify number 5 there.
yeah, under number 5, we could say something to the effect of if the city is able to obtain other funding in full, those funding sources should be utilized prior to requesting funds from they wouldn't even need to request funds, but those should be utilized first.
I'm good with that part. That's okay.
That sound,
If
you want to see it.
I say it's never gonna happen, but I learned that you never say never because something could happen. That way.
Right, that's-
That's exactly what happened with the 6 point.
Yeah,
whatever we
well,
got.
and there's a lot of people working on it too.
So, okay,
And then we would also attach the EDC letter to that,
right,
to the
exactly.
back of this.
So I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve this letter for signature out of session with changes that we have talked about here. It's up to you, Shane.
Well,
I need a second is what I need.
No, I won't. I feel like can wait until next session with the EDC letter attached so I can see it in full. Sorry, I don't see the rush in getting it to the city council.
We're not sending any money over
I know,
or anything.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that.
I don't understand why you want to delay longer.
I want to see it all in writing in session with the EDC attached.
I know, I know. I think if, yeah, I think it's a fair ask. I'm not gonna second either. Let's go ahead. And do you want to make a motion?
So does he have to state that the motion has failed?
Yeah, there's no second, so the motion fails.
I'll make a motion that we revise this letter and have the EDC letter attached to it and bring it to our next session for review. And then if everything is in order,
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Not for me.
I'll go ahead and second the motion. As far as discussion goes, I think I don't see any problem kicking it out for a second city council meeting. They are going to be pretty swamped on their agenda, and they've got to adopt budget and all of that. So I don't think it really will make any difference.
It won't make
It
any
won't,
difference
so,
really, but I would
and-
just, they're having the meeting on Tuesday and somebody's going up there to talk about it. And that's why I wanted to get it over there. by
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I think with other things on their agenda, it might be prudent to wait as well.
It's gonna be okay anyway, because
Right.
the newspaper's probably going to write something up and it's gonna be public anyway, so.
Well, that's fine.
they're pretty
So,
good.
all right, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Are you abstaining or opposing? Or
opposing?
Okay. Our first one. Well, if this is the only thing we don't get along on, I think we'll make it okay.
Well, I don't think I think we are getting along.
Okay.
We
we're still
just
getting
disagree.
along. We just disagree, and that's
Yeah.
good to
Right.
disagree. sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll send it, or we'll look it over. Oh, and we do need to put it on the agenda for next section, so. So motion carries 2-4, 1 against, and. Oh, we do, and we have. Next up, order number. I wasn't sure. This came in kind of late, didn't it? Order number 2023-130, appointing Mike Cook to the Taylor Grazing Committee.
I was in that meeting when his dad, Elton, suggested to appoint Mike to the Taylor Grazing as Elton is stepping down. And Taylor Grazing, some of those guys have been on there since
Okay.
1990.
Right.
So
Are we appointing them or drafting?
we are appointing him to the Taylor. Yeah, well.
Do I have
Yeah, we are kind of.
do
So
we have an application with his signature on it?
yeah, we do right here
Okay.
in our work packet. So yeah, he says he's been involved in this his entire adult
Okay.
life. So into the
Okay.
Taylor Grazing. So
As long as he's doing it of his own free will.
He
that's
is.
Okay.
He is.
Okay.
I will make a motion. Order number 2023-130, appointing Mike Cook to the Taylor Grazing Committee.
Is there any rush to do this? That's a joke.
No,
I'll second the motion.
no.
Apparently, he's been waiting his whole life. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, saying none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Welcome aboard, Mr. Cook. All right. Financial reports.
You guys always make me do this. and I'm sorry.
You're so good at it.
You're so good, you're better at it.
Oh, I'm good, yeah. So I make a motion that we approve the financial reports that we've all three looked at for accounts payable, C05, C08, C09, C11, C12, V13, and C15. And also payroll and payroll accounts payable reports, C79, C80, C-81, C-82, C-83, and other financial reports, April revenue and expenditure report.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, other business, commissioner updates.
I have some stuff to give to you guys. You want me to start? Yeah. So exciting. This Friday, we have a discussion about Oregon's water. And it's the Oregon Department, let's see, Oregon Water Resources Department. And they're, every 5 years, they look at the water strategy for Oregon. And they wanted to have meetings in LeGrand, Ontario, and other places. And I said, hey, can you come here? And they said no. And then, so I kept on and they let me know late last week that they could, that they're going to stop through on Friday morning. So this is for Bruce and this one is for you. And it's at 10 o'clock this Friday at the Little Pig. And we will have a discussion about Oregon water. And I do have, I did put it out there to the public, and we just want to make sure that any concerns for Baker County water future is covered and questioned and, answered if possible. And then June 13th, next Tuesday, out at our county parks, Hewitt and Holcomb Park, we have the Marine Director coming to look and see what all is going on down there. And Donnie just brought on the new life jacket kiosk. It's a kiosk with life jackets hanging there that have been donated to the park, and people can check them out, use them, and it's gonna save lives, hopefully. And so because she is the Marine Director is going to be down there, we decided let's just cook up some hot dogs and make it a day. And we're gonna have a rope cutting at the kiosk instead of a ribbon cutting. Rope tow, park type. Okay. So it's also a free day use parking. And like I say, barbecue. I'm gonna tow the Jeep barbecue down there, and we're gonna cook up a bunch of hot dogs, and I'll be down there all day with that.
Okay.
So everybody's welcome. And then the Taylor Grazing, I met with the Taylor Grazing Board, and they only meet once a year. We worked through a whole bunch of topics, funding, things like that. By June 29th, there is funds available for rangeland improvements. And so their priority on rangeland improvements is spray for noxious weeds.
Okay.
That they will accept receipts, and that's through Will at the OSU Extension, Will Price. But June 29th is the end of the fiscal. They said that they'll write checks on the 30th, and it's a $500 up to $500 max 50% cost share. But even though spray is priority per ORS statute, other range improvements will apply. So, but it has to be rangeland improvements only. And then on the bottom of this one, the Baker County Wolf Depredation Compensation Board is offering range riding compensation. We have one special grant that is up in August, and we need to make sure that we spend those funds, and it has to be range riding only. So if you guys could spread the word about that, and I did put that out to the public, and hopefully we'll get some response. off of it.
Using up your leftover ink? It's the business.
Hey, look at it,
It's pretty. So you are, okay.
Come up with the, what's it called?
Oh, yes. And if you'll notice that there's QR codes on there. If you want a QR code for any events or anything that you need attention to, you can hover over that with your phone right now, and it'll take you straight to that application, and Bill Lee did it for me.
Huh, look at us go.
Yeah,
We're
Yeah.
like modern.
and that, well, that'll take you, actually, the QR code will take you into the whole wolf compensation on our website, the whole thing with all of the subcategories in it. And the QR code will take you to the entire Taylor grazing, and there's the Taylor Grazing Act, there's the ORS statute and the application. The line underneath that says for your application, that he created for me to take directly to the application. So it makes it really easy for people to just click and go.
So I really appreciate your work with Kent Justice on that, getting educated on that and getting these younger producers educated about the Taylor grazing, because apparently the money's been building up because nobody's been applying for it. So
It has been building up, and so we will have a discussion, which is another, the committee asked me, the board, the Taylor Grazing Board, they requested a meeting with BLM, Forest Service, and other people to bring everybody together to see where they're at with spray, noxious weeds, and how the Taylor grazing can maybe help there with the excessive funds that they have right now,
Right.
so that we can do something that's going to benefit everybody and not just be like a one-time spray
right,
and
yeah.
then it's done.
Right.
Which was real important to everybody,
Needs to be ongoing.
that it's a continuing program. So we will be exploring it. So they will be meeting more than once a year this year in order to do that. So,
Good.
and then did you guys see the EOCA sent, I believe it was
Yeah.
Paul, sent for that
FEMA?
Eastern Oregon, no, Eastern Oregon
FEMA,
Economic
but,
Summit, August 3rd and
Oh,
4th.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess I just wanted to make sure that you
Did
guys,
you get that?
that you
I did.
guys saw
Okay.
that, and it shows fees. Did you, I was gonna ask you, he said it was complimentary, so if we got with Margaret on signing up, but then it shows fees, I'll just have to
That might be,
confirm that.
that might be for, second or spouse.
Okay,
So.
okay,
but Yeah, double check. We'll figure that out.
okay, because I probably won't do everything. I see that there's a housing tour. And I thought,
Oh,
you
sure.
guys,
yeah.
I probably wouldn't do everything because it's several days.
I don't,
of
you always do
different
everything.
events. I know, but not some stuff.
Okay. Yeah, if that, as far as I know, I'll be able to attend that. It looks good. And then has
Okay.
OTEC got their summit scheduled yet? They
Yeah,
do, right?
we received notice and I think it's in
Ah,
July, late July or August, I want to say.
For
or is it
what?
even for
The OTEC Summit?
Power Summit.
Yeah.
I know we
got it way
received
back
it.
when. I don't know.
I don't
exactly
know.
when it is. We'll get
Yeah.
another notice on it.
We should look at the first one, but
Well,
yeah, I would like to.
we'll
attend
find
the
it
first
again,
one.
but I mean, they will send out another notice. on it,
Right, yeah.
just Advertise that. but-
Tonight at 5:30 is Representative Reschke's
Yeah.
Town Hall, 5:30
It's
to
at 5:30, not
6:30.
5.
No, it's 5:30.
Okay, that's better.
5:30 to 6:30 is his town hall tonight. I listened in on it last month and I found it interesting. AOC legislative, you're probably gonna talk about that for Monday. And then we go to our last county college.
Right?
Done, graduated. He's got to make up his hours before he can graduate, but
I have till November. and I've been working.
and NRAC does have a meeting coming up on the 27th at 3 p.m. We have a lot of subjects that have been floating around and, gosh, there's so many issues out there that we're being hit with, from BLM public lands rule to a whole bunch of other rulings. So we will have an NRAC meeting there, and I think that puts us into, it sounds like I'm going to go out to Greenhorn on the 2nd of July.
Are you coming back?
I don't think so.
You're just gonna stay there?
And then BIC has a meeting again in Union County, the BIC committee, July 7th. And it sounds like the committee that the people have been hired who are going to write the Blue Mountain Forest Plan revision again. So that is kind of coming together, and so we'll be ready. They are asking for a cooperative agreement with the county. We already work in coordination with the Forest Service, and we demand coordination at the federal level. This cooperative agreement, we're looking at. I'm not going to give up any of the coordination in signing it, but it may give us some more say in the initial reviews of the Blue Mountain Forest Plan revision.
Right.
So we're looking at that, and they're asking for an answer by the 7th. So if you want to see it, I will forward it to you. I wasn't sure if you wanted to go through all of it. I have talked to council, so.
Okay. Is that something we'll have to approve session?
We may have
I would
to,
think
yes,
so.
I would think so,
Yeah, I
because
think
it's
so
with the
too.
entire county.
I mean, it's coordination, but it's still an
No, it's
intergovernmental-
cooperative, not coordination. We're already in
Cooperative agreement.
coordination.
We already
Yeah.
are.
But this is
just
a
our
cooperative agreement.
MOU.
So I think that's okay because if we've already got coordination agreement, which we do,
Right.
and you just add in the cooperative agreement too, and it gives you just a little bit more say, I think, because with the Forest Service, you get to be at the table.
You have to go up to the podium, please.
For this issue, I have to speak on behalf of the Jefferson Mining District, because Baker County has all the recognized minerals, economic accountability of minerals for the whole state of Oregon. So I spent years on determining the difference between coordination and cooperation. I am a coordinator for the Jefferson County, for the Jefferson Mining District, which covers all of Oregon, Northern California, and Western Idaho.
Okay.
The difference between coordination and cooperation: coordination, you are a government entity, so you are equal with the Forest Service or the BLM as a federal government. So you're government to government. When you're cooperation, when you cooperate, that makes you subordinate to whatever agency or whatever that agreement is. So whatever they come up with, when you sign to cooperate, you agree to whatever they want. Whatever your intent is or the protection for your people is out the door. You have subordinated yourself to their jurisdiction and authority.
So I should have stated also that this is a cooperative agreement with the agencies that sit on the
Yes.
BIC, with the agencies that sit on the BIC committee only.
Yes.
And that's why I also stated that we will make sure that there's no clause in there that takes away any of our rights in coordination,
what I would-
because
yeah.
this cooperative agreement is for the BIC committee and the counties that sit on the
Yeah,
BIC
okay.
committee.
No, if you sit on the
Yes.
big committee, that law changes your status and you lose the right for the rest of it. It's
We are
called
not, no,
consume
I
consent.
don't, I disagree.
we're not 100% on that. That's why. that's-
I'll send you the document.
I
for
have,
that
I have
difference.
my book on coordination, and I understand coordination.
And who's
Through
it
the
published
BIC
by?
and through the BIC committee
Harvard or Yale?
and through the BIC committee,
Who's it published by? Harvard or Yale? Law
Baker
school.
County, Donnie Brulin, and Lori Harvey.
That's our county's committee, our county's plan. Yes,
Not our plan. It is our coordination.
yes. That's a coordination plan. Yes.
Not a plan. It is coordination.
Okay. Hey,
I get it. I know what you're saying, and I'm not going to give up coordination. So that is it on all of that.
Okay.
So if we need to look at it, if our council or anybody decides that we all need to look at it, I have been in talks with our NRAC committee about the cooperative agreement, and so far they don't see a problem with it.
I don't see a problem with it. but
So
I think we have a,
we'll do everything.
Heidi, do we not have there's an ordinance where we, or the commission board at that time, put Baker County in coordination with the federal agencies way back when, kind of a cooperation, excuse me.
So.
No,
yeah.
no, no. Coordination.
Coordination.
And it's back in, I think it's the 90s.
I know there's been several documents like a.
Yeah, I thought it was still in play
Yeah.
because I don't think it's ever been taken away.
But I don't know exactly what.
We are in coordination.
Well, I think we are too.
We,
but,
no, I know we
yeah.
are. I know we are in coordination. Okay. That's
Kim,
all on
did-
my-
Yeah, I have just one thing. And it's a really big change of subject, so.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
And this is just it wasn't something that actually should become an agenda item. So it's really just an opportunity for me to bring something to your attention. You may want to do something more about it or you may not, but there's some discussion among AOC and the Oregon Association of County Councils. Oregon County Council Association regarding a federal decision from last fall. The shortened term that folks are using is the Mossman decision. So essentially, a federal judge made some changes to how long individuals can be kept at the state hospital. So if someone was accused of a crime, but was found to be unable to participate in their own defense, they could be sent to the state hospital to be rehabilitated. State law allows for a year for misdemeanors and up to 3 years for felonies. This Mossman decision instructed the state hospital to keep folks for 90 days or up to a year. So that changes considerably the length of time that folks can be held to be rehabilitated. So what that's doing, and then it also created some changes to whether or not people could be civilly committed at the state hospital level. So what that's doing is it's keeping people with the most severe mental health issues in communities or returning them to communities before they've been rehabilitated to a point where they could aid and assist in their own defense. That this, as you can imagine, it affects Marion County quite drastically. That's where the state hospital exists. But it's also other counties are saying that it's affecting them and the safety of their communities. So there's been an invitation by AOC to consider signing on to the Washington County and Marion County, or have written a letter with some suggestions to Governor Kotek and the Director of Oregon Health Authority with some suggestions for how to help counties who are having to soak up the consequences of this federal decision. So I can get copies of that letter to you. It also might be helpful to, this is work that I haven't done, but to talk with our law enforcement and our mental health folks to see if they're seeing a change. The decision came down in September, so it's been a handful of months. Even though we're a smaller county, it's not that we never see this issue, but I don't have any idea if folks here are seeing an effect of that.
I know
or
of
not,
one
but
case.
You could reach out to our law enforcement, DA's office, court, mental health folks, and ask them if it's something that is affecting here. And if you want
I would like to have a copy of that, and you should reach out to Travis and or Sheriff Ash and ask him, because there's been one or two that he's just ill-equipped to provide that kind of care for someone. And we had an individual here that a thing just like you described, unable to play a part in their own defense, was sent to the hospital, and whether or not they had adequate time to, find medication and diagnosis and all of that it's pretty well up for question. So I'm not in favor of the Mossman decision, but
Yeah,
yeah, I would,
they touched on it at the county college as well,
did they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it was discussed at county college also.
just a little bit.
Okay.
okay.
They said
Yeah.
that there was gonna be something coming, so this
Yeah.
must be.
So there's a letter, and if you wanted to put it on the agenda, you guys could discuss it after you've done your talking to whatever county departments you like. And then, I can get you a copy of the letter that
Okay.
is being circulated, and you can decide if you want to sign on or what. Okay,
Okay,
so
I
that's
sure appreciate it.
my update.
Sorry, I kind of bypassed. I thought we were on the
No,
calendar.
no,
so-
it's all right. This was, it doesn't really fit on as an agenda item, but while we're at a public,
Yeah.
a publicly noticed meeting.
Sure,
I could throw this.
sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stuff that we're doing.
Okay.
So what we did today was, what we did today was the notice of intent. And then the next step would be to enter into an agreement. And I don't know if you'll remember, but when we met on May 31st, there was also talk of a new RFP for Step Forward
Forward,
that was
yeah.
interested, but we would open it up to anybody. And so we're working on doing that as well. So I just wanted to talk about timelines, and then because we may be looking at a special session possibly on the 28th, 29th, 30th,
Right,
somewhere in
okay.
there. So
20, oh, okay.
yeah, so so today's the 7th, so we're hoping to get that other RFP out this week.
Good.
Tomorrow or Friday, if not sooner. Run it for about a week. So closing around the 16th, next Friday maybe. And then have that committee, that review committee, get together, review whatever proposals come in on that, score them, and then make the recommendation like they did with these others. And have that ready for session on the 21st. And then there would be that 5-day protest period again. And that's why we would have to have a special meeting.
Okay.
Is so that we could try and get this done by July 1st. So we would be looking at the minimum, potentially signing a contract with whoever submits for that RFP. On the 28th.
And that's
29th
kind
or
of our
30th.
last opportunity to do.
It is. And if we needed more time on these other contracts, I mean, we could take that up then as well.
Okay.
So.
All
But
right.
anyways, I just wanted to
yeah.
see if you guys would be available around that time.
No.
Yeah,
No?
the 28th would be that next Wednesday. So either the 28th or the 29th, but the 28th would be that next Wednesday. And
Yeah, okay.
what's
All right.
on there so far.
Yeah, I don't think they're letting me go anywhere. So.
Got my phone, so wherever I happen to be, I can call in if
Call
I need
in.
to.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So we're fishing.
I think I'll be here, but who knows?
Yeah, it's a tight turnaround, but hopefully we can
Yeah.
get it all pulled together. So,
If we zoom in from the river and publicly notice meeting, that's
It is. Good luck with that.
I'll disclose it when we get that.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. We've got QR codes now. Maybe we have-
yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
maybe we have special stuff.
You'll want a QR code for everything.
I kind of do.
Oh, and the last thing is my grandson is taking his sweet time.
Yeah, what's going on with
He
that?
was due last Saturday.
I know. What? It's
Everybody
like he doesn't
is
like us
waiting.
or something.
No, I think he's just comfortable. Whatever.
Well,
I think he's gonna be a kickback kid.
all right, Jeep ride.
We tried that.
You didn't try hard enough, obviously.
Picking on the kid already. Rush, rush, rush.
All right, I tell you what. The Springs and the CJ is pretty well shot. That's what you got to revert to. I've bounced more kids into this world with the CJ than
Tell Eli he's running
I
around
will.
here somewhere.
I'll give him the keys. He should also be aware that you have to fill the brake fluid up every time. I'm going out to Halfway this afternoon to meet up with Kathleen Cathy and Mayor Aspey and maybe a couple other people, just as kind of a check-in on projects and things that they've got going on out there. Might stop by the parks and check in on them. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, a lot of good things
Yeah.
going on out there.
2 weeks ago, you hosted, you want to go and,
So I hosted what?
you were there. I saw
You
you.
posted something?
You did.
Where?
It was very nice.
At what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Senator Barkley.
Oh,
You
yeah.
covered for me.
I
and
did do
came
that.
And I.
Yeah,
snuck
he
in
said
on
he
you.
wasn't going to be there and
Oh, now you're
I
gonna. put
came
it
out
like
and he
that.
was
I
sitting
was
right
very
there.
nice. I was very nice and said you did such a good job. Now you're picking
Oh,
on me.
well. I couldn't see the words. They were too tiny and I was having difficulty reading it. And, but I did okay.
You
It
did
was
fine.
It was fine.
Well, thank you for doing
No,
Yeah,
I
it was
appreciate
all
it.
right.
I knew I was gonna be late and, my,
It was
yeah,
okay. It was
yeah.
fine.
And it went-
I was giving you a hard time too, so.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got County College. And by the way, they were very gracious and gave me information to everybody that presented for the last County College. And so I'm getting caught up. I have until November to meet up with everybody.
I know, I'm just
There.
giving you a bad time.
I know.
And I had a
everybody
bunch of
picks on me.
paperwork that I brought back for the
And
kid.
you did a good
I just
job.
kept on telling everybody, give me two.
I have to
Give me
say,
two.
though, AOC has been so accommodating and so good to us that I really appreciate that.
Oh, do we have? Oh, it's in a different, we're staying in a different place this time.
Yeah, it's,
I need a car. I'll check it. Okay.
Fair Board is the 13th. And I'm trying to think- I think that's all of the, no, that's what the deal is. Yeah, everything's on the 13th. This is on the 13th. We probably have caucus call on the 13th. Economic Development is 3 o'clock on the 13th. Fair Board's 6 o'clock on the 13th.
Bummer, I'll just have to be out at the parks.
Tuesdays are not my friend anymore. I'm not a fan of Tuesday. Yesterday was Tuesday and it was no good either. So, but it was easy to find because they wouldn't let me leave my office. So that's all I can think of, except I've got, meetings with individuals and just to work. So.
Well, okay. Of course, I was at Senator Merkley's town hall meeting, and that was about an hour long. And had a chance to talk to him beforehand. And of course, I do what I usually do. I picked on them about the Davis-Bacon Act and said small counties always get the short end of the stick. That's why we have historic buildings, because we can't build new ones. Because by the time we get any money to do that, inflation eats it all up and everything, all the regulations is just, it just makes it so costly for the taxpayers to pay that bill. Even if you get a grant, it's extremely costly for governments to build anything. Anyway, he's heard it before from me and so is Senator Wyden, and I'll continue doing that. It won't get anywhere, but at least they know that I'm unhappy with it. And there's a lot of other people are too, but nobody will take the step to do anything about it. So anyway, on the 5th, Monday, had a community connection executive committee meeting in La Grande. And so I went to that at 2 o'clock that afternoon, when I got back about that time, a little before that, actually I was back around 12:30, I think. NEODD had their community economic development sessions for surveys or whatever. And it was by Zoom, and that is, I'll just say it publicly, it was just, Zoom worked fine, but it's very difficult to have a discussion about what the community needs when you're like the 6th or 7th on the list in that room or something, and oh, you have 8 minutes to do this, you know, and they yank you out just as I said 2 words.
Yeah.
And then the next session, they had people in the room, and the same thing happened. And then they said, well, why don't you go ahead and say what you were going to in the room? And I said, I've been having phone calls and everything, getting interrupted all the time. I'm just going to listen, because I was really angry at having that, because they've held 2 of those 3 sessions on Zoom, and both of the Zoom ones were, in my opinion, absolutely worthless. And I've talked to other people that said the same thing. And the one that we had here in Baker in the courtroom here was with just Baker County people and Lisa Dawson from NEODD. That went way better, because you could actually have a conversation back and forth, and you weren't limited to this many minutes and stuff like that. And the reason they're doing this is because they came out with a grant for people down in the valley to help us out and help do this survey and all that stuff. And I think they just don't want to drive over here, and they've only got so much time and money to do. And so they do it on Zoom, so they don't have to come over here, and they don't have to talk too much, and they don't have to work any overtime. That isn't going to work for us at all. And Brian Twite showed up a little later in the session, and so did Courtney, what's her last name? Not Warner, but Courtney Warner Crowley. Yeah. So she was late. She didn't see it, but Brian heard about it too. And he also agrees that it doesn't work well that way. So anyway, I did that. And then there was a museum meeting last night at 6 o'clock. I went to that. They're wanting discussions about what we had at budget meeting and the committee meeting. And so they want to talk about their projects and stuff on the roof, and the not the roof, but the HVAC systems for the museum. And so
They want to come to session.
they do want to come to the budget hearing, and I invited them to. And in other words, just come here and explain to all of us what your plan is and what what you're going to do. And I told them, I said, you better have just as much information as you possibly can. And so they're aware that we're not totally in favor of giving them $250,000. So,
Or thinking that we owe them.
and they pretty much got that down, but and they said, well, this would just be, some seed money for a while, because it may not happen until 2025 anyway. And I said, well, there was a discussion about that, and yes, we could have a placeholder. And well, should we wait till then? And I said, no, you should not. You should wait. You should get this taken care of now, and then advocate for it every year to keep it in front of the commissioners. I said, because commission boards change, and you've got to keep it in front of everybody. Otherwise, it'll go away, and you won't know it. And so anyway, they're going to come to the meeting.
Okay.
And so then let's see, this afternoon from 3 to 5, Powder Basin Watershed council has a strategic planning session from 3 to 5. And it may take a little longer, who knows? Oftentimes that goes beyond 5 o'clock. And so I'll be going to that. Monday, the 12th, I will be in Salem. I'm going down to the Ledge Committee meeting and some of the other meetings at AOC. And while I'm there, I'm going to consult with their council down there about some issues and see if we could get some more information and without having to use our county council. And we'll see about that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so that's what I've got going. And I don't know if there's anything happening Thursday or Friday of next week or not.
Tomorrow, my kid's getting their tonsils out.
I'm not going to that.
You could.
No,
It's early.
please no.
Okay. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
much faster these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna mostly be out the next couple of days with that, so.
Yep. So I'll be around most of the time, I think.
Flat out catastrophe, then I might be available. I mean,
We'll call you if
I
there's
mean, like
something urgent.
water across the road kind of catastrophe. If it's just the usual catastrophe, that might be busy.
No, it has to be a real.
Right.
No, I get it. Yeah. So I can tell you later in the month, but
Let's just try to get there. All right, I think that's everything as good as it's gonna get. Do I have a motion to get out of here?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
I'm not leaving that up for discussion. I want